What's up, amigos? Quick question. Did you guys know there's going to be a real endgame boss in Diablo 4? I don't mean the end of the last act boss, I mean a level 100 boss that the devs want to be the end of endgame.
Where you're like, okay, if I can beat that boss, I'm ready for World Tier 3 and I can go into it comfortably or with some confidence. And I like that sort of, because again, especially the idea, like with Diablo 4 is going to have such a rich endgame, we're getting ready for our endgame beta, and there's so much to do from end of campaign to kind of getting to level 100. But knowing that out there is this level 100 boss waiting for you to get to the end of the endgame, like that's something that's really going to motivate a lot of players. I know it motivates me to be able to go, if there's one thing I'm going to do in this game is I'm going to defeat the 100 boss.
A sense of accomplishment, hopefully, and a great feat of strength, and hopefully not a pushover like many other bosses in ARPGs. I want the difficulty of Ubers for the first time in D2, the Ubers in Path of Exile. I want it so not everyone will be able to do it, and although people disagree with that, I think it's what made those encounters really unique. It made non-meta builds viable for certain content. Some builds are great for clearing, some are great for bosses, some are hybrids. What's really interesting about hearing about this level 100 boss is thinking about how long that grind will probably take to get to the point of seeing that boss. I mean, let's be honest, not everyone will be seeing this boss. So I think it's great we haven't seen a sneak peek and let the players enjoy the absolute surprise and feeling when they get to that point themselves. In the Q&A that dropped on Wowhead yesterday, the question was asked, are there any planned endgame activities that haven't been revealed yet? And the direct answer we got was yes. And it was so enthusiastic that it's really promising, and I'm hopeful for what's to come. Because what we've known about the endgame features for a while now, with confirmation of the features in yesterday's dev endgame, some of the community were pretty disappointed. And I think it's because when you share so much so fast, it really drives the excitement value to the ground. And there's some people, they feel like since they know everything already, it's spoiled and it'll be boring when they actually get to test it themselves. Now another thing is the devs understanding that they don't want this game to get out of hand like Diablo 3 did with item modifiers and multipliers on gear. So they have told us that balancing is a big thing to them. I think it did get kind of crazy how the barbs scaled in the beta at level 25. Level 25 barbs were doing upwards to 500k crits in the beta. That scared a lot of people, and admittedly myself included. The question was asked, are we going to see big multipliers on uniques in Diablo 4 similar to Diablo 3? Now, Joe Shelley answered no. We want to reduce the overall scaling multipliers and damage numbers in combat for Diablo 4. Even mentioning that sets can be great for having a cohesive look, and that they can be excellent for new players that don't want to create their own builds, but they can have a negative impact or a negative effect of simplifying interesting builds that are available by taking a lot of item slots. So what does this mean? Are we going back to 6+ piece sets? Or will there be sets like Bolkathos, for example, that will be essential in builds? Now let's look at another question in this Q&A. In regards to item rarities on an endgame character, will every item rarity have a purpose in Diablo 4 besides salvaging them for crafting materials? Or will we just be running around with only legendaries equipped? So before we talk on what Joe Shelley said in response to this, never have I ever played an ARPG where blues/magic items or white items play a factor after maybe the first 10 to 15 levels. You will always choose a rare item over magics and commons. It's logical. It's a direct upgrade. Affixes will trump base increases any day of the week. So Joe explained that they don't expect normal or magic items will be powerful in themselves in endgame builds, and the devs are actually interested in there being uses beyond salvaging for those items. What those will be, we have no idea yet. Now, rare items will be an important part in endgame, partly because of their use as bases to upgrade them to legendaries. Now, I'll argue this, guys. In my opinion, not partly, but majorly important for the imprint feature. It's the only reason you will be looking at every rare, unlike Diablo 3, where you don't even bother, you just instantly salvage them for crystals. Now, Joe also said normal and magic items become more powerful as you unlock ancestral and sacred items at higher world tiers, thus becoming relevant on early stages. Guys, now, I don't believe this for a second, okay? And I don't want to be rude, but this just seems like the lack of playing your own game that you speak for. Again, this isn't a shot at Joe, but first of all, if you can get sacred or ancestral items to drop as a white common item, that is the worst game design I have ever heard of. Now, magic's rolling as ancestral or sacred. This I can sort of get behind because you don't want to flood the game with items that are meant to be rare drops, like really rare drops. Any of you who have played Diablo 3, ancients and primals, they're important to character growth, okay? But ancients drop too much, and primal ancients, they're incredibly rare, and half the time, or more than half, they're worthless, right? That's meaningful, all right? That you need to have those dull items to balance out the loot pool. So what do you all think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. Personally, I am very excited and hopeful for Endgame and balancing in Diablo 4. They seem to know which direction they want to take. And even though every game has its flaws and balance changes are never perfect, having a direction and sticking to it is an honorable approach compared to how some other companies go about their games. So until next time, amigos, take care.